Welcome to the front row. I'm your host, Brad Rowe, and this is a space where unfiltered stories of the human condition get told. Pull up a chair.
What was that like finding out that you had another family?
Oh my God.
Like, because for me, like when I finally found out after Papa passes away, it just blows up my whole perspective of the little family that I
That's all it was forbidden to talk about.
Yeah. And yeah, no one, I had no idea that anyone says
this
this.
happened.
Yeah.
Because in her head, it didn't at that point. But anyways, he used to spend a lot of time in Newburyport with his family.
Yeah.
We felt never welcome. We'd go for Christmas when we were little kids, and, we were raised very strict. You did not move. Get that old station wagon, pull into somebody's yard. The three of us kids were in the back seat, and Jerry's a newborn in the front. My mother would turn around and smack the fuck out of us and say, "Don't you make a move in that house or you'll get it worse." So we sat like this and did nothing. But, we'd go to Christmas, and all my cousins and stuff had great gifts, like a pair of socks. It always made us feel bad. So then we got to the point where we just decided we were going to go because there was a feeling like we didn't belong or they didn't want us there. So Dad and I didn't have a great relationship, and him and Ma had broke up. So he come got me after school, which was unusual because he wouldn't even speak to me, really. Get me out of bed in the morning by punching me and say, "Get out of bed, you useless fuck, you should have been up in the toilet." Said that just I'm 66 and still remember. But just, he was tough, really tough. And he says to me, "I just want you to know I found out recently that I have a son, and I have to go spend time with my son. And I wanted him dead that day because I'm his son that you paid no attention to. And I had a brother, Jerry, who was his everything. And he told people, then child he loved was Jerry. So we were second class. And then to find out there was another child. Because then he says, I got my girlfriend pregnant. So when he knocked her up, he was in a truck that was in my mother's name. And she had gone down to our family's wharf behind Starboard Galley with Honey Vin for dinner and drinks. And there's the truck with the camper on the back of it. Jeannie's car next to it. Dad's in the door. So it ended up a big fist fight. Dad and Vin were fist fighting. Yeah. So 3 days later, that truck was gone. She went out and bought a truck. Same. That it wasn't. It was revenge. So I got the truck like I got the horse for revenge against Dad. So, but we never got to see these kids, and it was very awkward because every once in a while, I'm like now 18 or 19 years old, and I'd see Jeannie coming out of Nana and Grandpa's house with young Joe, because she actually named her baby after my father. And so now he has 2 children by her, and she was married to a man named Ray Rashad, who raised the older boy. The older boy knew nothing about Dad until Ray was dying.
What was his name?
His name was Randy.
Randy.
And he told Randy that wasn't his dad. And then from what I was told, through the family, was that Jeannie had another boy named Anthony by this, her husband there, on his dying buddies. He was impotent, so it couldn't have been his child. So Dad was father of all 3 of them, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So, it was hurtful. It made the rest of my family hate the Rowe family. I didn't. I was very, very close with my Aunt Alicia, who was my father's youngest sister. Her and I were just 8 years apart. We were brother and sister, separate. And she was a bad influence sometimes. She was a free spirit, liked to party and the drugs. And like I say, now she's dead and everybody else knew it. But, that was a bad road. And like when I said there was times where it wasn't safe for you to be around, some of those was that time. Yeah. I'd come home and caught people snorting cocaine on my table. I don't do that. I never did. But it was in my house. Yeah. Just the people that would come in, I didn't trust.
Yeah.
Not that they would ever have hurt you, like I said, but I didn't want you to see the things that they could have done.
Right. Just exposure.
Yeah, the exposure.
Yeah.
The exposure I wanted you was having was the horse show exposure. All of these rich people that still to this day ask about who you are and are proud of your accomplishments. They always say your poise on stage come from your poise on the saddle. Could be true.
Yeah. I was meant to perform.
Yeah.
So you and Papa's relationship, obviously, like you said, when you came out, he didn't talk to you for several years.
He didn't know about anything he was having.
What kind of brought you guys back together?
Nana was sick in the hospital. And Donald called me and said, she's really sick. You need to go see her. So I did. I called her. And we had a conversation on that. And she cried. She said that she was sorry, that she missed me. And I said, I can't come to the house because of Dad. And she says, well, how are you going to meet him again? So he came to horse show, actually.
Yeah.
And again, my whole family thought it was such a waste of time, the horse business. So he came to a nice horse show and got to see that I had a barn full of horses. You were showing. That's when he was in Cape. And he said, I can't believe all of these people are here for you. He said, you rode that pretty horse and everybody was clapping for you. I said, why can't you believe it? He said, because this is what you wanted. And you did such a beautiful job at it. So that's what brought us back together.
Yeah.
And then him and I talked about the things that he would never be allowed to do again.
Yeah.
And then he was diagnosed with Lewy body. And then he kind of relied on me. He was tough, physically tough.
Yeah.
And I'm physically tough because he made me that way. I could stand and punch for punch. And so I get a call one night, 3:00 in the morning, from my nephew Michael, saying that Papa was trying to kill Nana. That's what he means. He said he's got her down in the bathroom, beating her with a cane. I said, get it away from him. He said, I can't. I said, why? He said, I might hurt him. I said, I don't care what you do to him. Rip it out of his hand. Put him on the phone. He come on the phone happy. Hi, Cliffy. What's going on? I said, what are you doing to my mother? He said, I'm dying today and I'm taking her with me. I said, I'll write it up. So.
And for those of you who don't know, my grandfather got diagnosed with Lewy body.
Yes.
And it's like Alzheimer's and Parkinson's. It's just a horrible disease.
Robin Williams killed himself because he had it. Bruce Willis has it.
Yeah.
It's a horrible life.
Yeah.
So terrible things.
But let's dive into how you stepped up.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the whole family, to take care of a father that neglected you.
Yes. When I saw what he was doing to my mother, I had him taken out of the house so that I could focus on her. Then Michael brought him back and I called the doctor and said, you have got to see my father. I hadn't seen my father in 6 months. And he said, what's wrong? I said, why didn't you see him? And I can't believe that you've allowed us to go this many months. So I brought him in and he said, I can't put him in the hospital you have. So I said, Dad, we need to take you down for tests. And went to the hospital. And when he realized that he wasn't coming out of the hospital, we had a big fight over it. And he was calling my mother Jeannie. And I said, I'm going to kill you right now. I'm going to pillow over your face. So anyways, I had to instantly leave and find the chapel in the hospital. in Godwin, the first cousin, Georgia, was running the insurance part of the hospital there, and she brought me to the chapel, and I had to pray not to kill him, and how to forgive, and that's how it started. And then right up until he died, was the only one no one could take him out of the dementia ward. A couple times he was combative and hurt people, so he had to get sent to the psych ward, where he thought he was a surgeon. And I was with him when he took his last bath.
We always have a redemption story. And, the thing that I was telling my dad on the drive over here when we talk about this, like, I have a bunch of men in my life that are just have major issues with either their father's not talking with them or their kids aren't talking to them. And I just tell them, like, just hang on, anything can happen. Because I've seen it happen between us, and ours wasn't nearly as bad as what you went through with Papa, and to watch you step up and to be the rock for Nana, to be the rock for Papa, the only one in the family doing that, and it went against everything that I'm sure you wanted to do, that broken little boy in you wanted to do, but you had to forget.
Days where I would take him out in a wheelchair, and we would walk all around those little side streets in Hampton and talk. And we could talk because my mother wasn't touching his face and pulling his shirt off. And he said, she just won't. And so we got to talk. And he finally said, I love you. But, everybody has to learn to get over their story. Forgive somehow, some way, because you can't live with it forever. But I lived a long time ago that I wasn't going to be able to be good at anything I did if I couldn't get my homosexuality problem out of my head. As you know. Excuse me. I had a 32-year relationship with a very wonderful man. It ended. He's still alive. He's doing well. But it was something that I had to do for myself because I found out that I really wasn't living for me. I wasn't doing what I needed to nurture. I wasn't doing what I needed to be a better human being. All I was doing was just living in the shadow of something I was told I needed to be.
Yeah.
So, I'm finally happy with my decisions, and your mother had put something on Facebook a year ago that was so true. You are not a prisoner to your past. And, it's not a prison sentence.
Yeah.
And guilt kills people.
Guilt, shame, unforgiveness. These are all the things that...
And my father, when Jerry died, he wasn't ever really religious. He believed in Christianity, but he wasn't. And when Jerry died, he would believe there was no God, because no God could have taken his child.
Yeah.
So I think at his last few months of life, he realized that there really was a God, and you had to think about it, And yeah.
I hope he's not happening.
Yeah.
It's and for the viewers out there, like, my grandparents were so different to me.
Oh yeah.
So different. Like, they never missed a single sporting event.
No, never.
Nothing.
And I think, they made sure they did that because they knew I couldn't.
And I also think,
they loved you.
I think it's when you become a grandparent, you kind of realize probably how much you screwed up as a parent. And you're trying to make up for that.
Because you make sure you'll never do that.
Said Joe. So my grandparents were at everything, and Papa was tough. But yeah, it was just when when you hear the stories and confirmed by my mother and other people around, and and then you see who they were as grandparents. It's mind-boggling that people could be so polar opposite.
Be having Sunday dinner at Maria's and Everett's, and Ma would call and say, "I need the truck now. Jerry and Father are fishing. I've been in dinner. I just told you, get that truck here now." And I had to, because I knew if I didn't, I got beaten. Yeah. And so it ran my life for so long, and then I thought, am I gay to rebel against my dad?
Right.
Is that what I'm doing?
Yeah.
Am I, because my very first partner or boyfriend was a man who was 14 years old. Yeah, Charlie. And, and I was more attracted to older men, and I was like, am I looking for a daddy image?
Yeah.
And then I realized I really wasn't, because no one was going to try to, I didn't feel that I needed a daddy replacement.
Yeah.
But I did need love. And I needed love by a man. And, and I had that for a long, long time with David. There was others, Stephen, I thought that was going to be something, but then he was really naughty.
Yeah.
Did I get arrested and go to jail? Stealing from the bank. But, again, colorful characters that were in my life that sometimes I was a little afraid of. Stephen was very abusive. And there were times where him and I, he would try to hurt me, out of spite. And, the good things that he gave took away in an instant.
Yeah.
It wasn't just like,
it's, and one of the things that doesn't get touched base enough about, if you look at the homosexual community, the gay community, you see a lot of people that are extremely successful in certain areas and things like that. And it's because you're not accepted, and because you're not accepted, it's like you really try to lean in and become something else and perform and succeed at something else. And I know that a lot of the drive for you wasn't just the passion of the horses. It was, you were trying to prove yourself. You were trying to prove everybody that, just because I'm gay, I'm not tough. So you had this tough guy, chip on your shoulder mentality.
Sure.
That you could achieve anything. And so, you carried, and almost everyone does, you carry this extra drive, this extra little chip on your shoulder that, kind of exasperates a lot of the workaholism and a lot of the distance. So, a lot of just trying to feel accepted and loved. And, people wonder why, like in the gay community, why, sex is so prevalent. And a lot of it is they're trying to fill a God-sized hole in their heart from the lack of acceptance that they've had. And so this is low-hanging fruit.
And the funniest part about the gay community is I don't feel accepted in the gay community.
Right.
As you know, I'm not too gay orientated,
Yeah.
Never going to see me in a dress.
Yeah.
Hookah beads around my neck.
But that's what made it, don't get me wrong, it was difficult as a child, dealing with that, but it's what made it easier, especially with David, because David was just kind of like the cool pothead uncle.
Yeah.
You guys, you weren't flamboyant at all. You weren't lovey-dovey. So like if we went out to dinner, it was just like I was with my dad and my uncle.
Yeah.
So it didn't make me uncomfortable like that. And I appreciate that. But again, that was just who you guys were,
That's how we lived. We weren't at all. We never went to gay pride. We never did.
Yeah.
And we met. The funniest thing was we met in a gay bar.
Yeah.
I was playing on a pool tournament. I was really good.
Yeah.
And I loved it. So I was playing pool, and he come and bumped up against me and said, "How much money have you won us tonight, big boy?" And I turned around and looked at him and goes, "Oh my God, I thought you were somebody else." So about 20 minutes later, a guy friend of David's come over and said, "My friend wants to meet you." And I went over and said, it's him. So anyways, I think that was the first and last time we were ever in a gay bar.
Yeah.
31 years.
Yeah. I mean, you did drag me to P-Town when I was a kid. Yeah.
because David's family had a cottage that on the Cape, and so I remember going there and getting dragged to P-Town, and they left me one time, and some woman came over, and I thought she was flirting with me, and come to find out she was a drag queen, and I thought I was getting hit on by this hot older woman. So
And then you said on the way home, all I know about P-Town is it's a place for lesbians.
yeah,
And you said the same thing about Northampton when you were up at the U.S. Nationals and you were showing Moose.
oh yeah, you said a mass, yeah.
Said, wouldn't want to be straight here because everybody's gay or these lesbians. So 11. So you're at least you were raised with equality.
Yeah.
Because you were kind of thrown into it.
Yeah, and that was another blessing that I had, because growing up in small town Seabrook, New Hampshire, is just very close-minded.
Oh yeah.
We had a Dominican kid and we had a Filipino kid, and we considered them black.
Yeah,
because we
had one black and
yeah, we
talked to him but me.
Right, we didn't know any different. So being exposed to that community, be exposed to that kind of understanding. Was there a lot of torment that I went through as a child? Like, I remember in third grade when kids first found out, that was just something that just got held over me all the time. And there was times that I resented you for that, because I was, seeing the downstream effects of all that.
Oh.
And, but it also made me question my sexuality at a very young age.
You were 6 years old. I picked you up from first grade, second grade. Lived in that little house right there across the school.
Worst man.
Yeah. You were roller skated a parking lot.
Yeah.
And one night you were very, very quiet, taking you back to your mother's. And you said, Daddy, are you gay? I didn't know what to say. I'm like, oh my God. I was expecting this at 16. No, 6.
Yeah.
So I thought for a second and I said, yes. And then you were quiet for a little bit longer and you said, does that mean you kiss boys? And I said, no, it means I kiss men. And you thought for a minute and you said, am I gay? I kiss Papa. And I said, no, you can kiss your grandfather and your uncles, but you can't kiss your neighbors.
It's no way. Yeah. It's getting put on the spot.
So that everything was cool. I had met Stephen, and Stephen played that game, and he was rich, stealing money, embezzling from the bank. We bought all this fancy clothes, the nice horses, and I was like, wow. And then I was living in that little house in North Andover. We kept he was so gay it wasn't even funny. Both our glasses and
Those were times that I was embarrassed to hang out with Dad.
yeah. I mean, he was handsome and everything, but he was so that was a hard issue. And just trying to keep you away from some of the battles that he would start.
Mm-hmm.
The fancy clothes all came with a price. And the fancy show horse came with a price. And when he realized that you could ride the fancy show horse better than him, he was kind of jealous about it. And we went for a practice horse show. I took you and him and Booster Horse at Maryland Chase. You won the equitation class. They put Stephen in the ring, and Moose just wasn't going to do anything he wanted. So he didn't get a rip. And on the way out, he took his whip and slashed me across the face with it in front of everybody. Marilyn Shea was my mother.
Yeah.
I mean, not biologically, but
right.
When I went through all of this stuff with my sister's kids and dad and everything, she was there.
Yeah.
She was there when I had a boyfriend that had AIDS. Nobody in the family talked to me. I had nobody to go to. One of the worst times of my life. And she was there. Yeah. Giving you great show horses to ride and hoping that would be a lifestyle that down the road would have not made you be a horse trainer. It would have introduced you to wealthy people. Yeah. Very wealthy people that could have helped you with things that I never could have.
Yeah.
When we were at Saddle River Mary and Hewlett had brought some horses in that were from people that were in the Olympics. And they couldn't ride these horses. They were younger and they were like, well, we can't get broken. So they brought them for me to ride. And I did. And so when it came time to get them sold, now it's, what can I do for you? And I said, I don't want you to do anything for me, but what I want you to do is for my son, for everything. I said, he needs a Bray show horse. She goes, I don't know anything about that. I said, you know about horses? I know about what type to get. Just instead of giving me a commission, buy my son a show horse. They sold one horse for $450,000 and one for $175,000, and it's over.
Yeah.
One went to win like the I-11 New York Grand Prix, went up to win in France. You should have got a great show horse out of that, but I got used again in the horse business.
Yeah.
But I wasn't care about what was going to be my next horse. I already had horses.
Yeah.
And I didn't, I've had people say, well, did you use him for your business because he was such a good rider? I said, no, I loved my son. It was different when he got on a horse. Those other kids were there for, this is my baby.
Yeah.
Showing horse.
Yeah.
From 4 years old. I told Brad a story this morning about he was 4 days old, come home from the hospital. His mother had a C-section and she couldn't come home quite as soon. So he was home and we put a saddle on an old Arabian horse that was at the farm that we had our horses at. And I got in the saddle and we put Bradley in my arms and he went for his very first horse ride. And he spent every single day almost, for a year and a half in that horse barn every morning. His mother had to work. At those days, she was working the lunch shift at TQI. I was waitress. Yeah. And I worked at night in the fancy restaurant. So I did the horses during the day and the rest of the night. We would meet in a restaurant in Amesbury and have a dinner. And that's when you got your first introduction to a bar because you were putting your baby seat on a bar stool. And that's was our story.
Yeah. And I know the past few months have been challenging again. We can go back to, it was about 18 months ago now that you and David split. How long was that?
It will be 2 years in September. Well, it's been 2 years that we split up, but he moved out. It will be 2 years in August.
Yeah. So after 31 years with David and then having that, and what was the pain like and the emptiness like?
Oh my God, horrible. The hardest part was putting the house on the market. The day I called the realtor was the day I knew it was over. We just, he spent time at home, when his mother died. He needed to heal. And that was good. And I went up and get him. It was horrible. The ride home was horrific. And then I got out of the car twice on 95 and walked. So that's how it just,
yeah.
And we knew right there and then that the relationship was just had to be done. He needed to be back in Massachusetts. He resented, deep down, he said he didn't resent to have to move to Florida. He didn't need to. He had the choice. I told him I was done. I couldn't physically, because health-wise, with my job, keep up in the winter. I didn't know in those days I had the arthritis, the carpal tunnel, and the neuropathy.
Yeah.
God give me a triple whammy. So it was hard.
Yeah.
And it still is. We haven't seen each other. We only talk on the phone for home things. And then we had some friends that decided it was okay to get into the center of our relationship, and which was sad because I had to enter a relationship with a woman that I was friend with for 30-something years. But I had to learn about independence. There was always somebody at home. Not that he didn't work, he did, but then he was sick. He had the back surgeries. He needed to be taken care of through that. Forgets about those things. Then the cancer, Florida. I was right there for all. I think we're finally in a little better place now. I don't know if we'll ever see each other again. But we text. He was there through with my brother being sick.
Yeah.
which was another family tragedy. My sister died. Yeah.
We'll get to that part. Let's stick on this train right here. Yeah, then like you said, the pain, but also there was freedom to it, and we talked about this was you and David were just roommates for a long time.
There was no love, no sex, no companionship. He took his vacations with his friends, and he would say, "Well, I can't go there because I got to save up my money for my trip to New England." I never one time questioned if he was cheating,
Right?
because they didn't care.
Yeah,
got to the point I didn't care. There was a few times in our relationship where I cheated, and I was open about it. To Peter Axel, and so I felt for a little while free, but I also felt like I was cheating because there was still love there. But then I realized I was getting something that I didn't have, and I still don't like the gay scene. I don't like how a lot of gay men. Not every gay man is the same. I have a lot of gay men that are very straight. They're not my style boyfriend, but they're straight acting and they're up and coming. They've had great jobs. But I'm not flamboyant. I don't want anybody that's in my life that's flamboyant. And, I'm kind of old fashioned. I believe in dating. At least a couple times. Let's go for dinner and let's meet each other.
Intentional.
Not in your house and not in my house.
Yeah.
Not with that. We're going to get it tonight because it might, but it might not. Yeah. I live on the maybe it might not. And then no one gets disappointed if they hear that the first time. This is going to be just a meet and greet.
Yeah.
No meet and grab. Meet and greet.
So, but some of the positive changes I think is you've been through a lot of growth, and a lot of healing, a lot of healing. So it's this, and
this is when spirituality come back because I needed it. And there's a lot of times I was on my knees, needing God.
Yeah,
not just saying, "Oh, okay, God, thank you for the dinner," but needing God.
Yeah,
and sometimes we believe in every time you speak to God that you're going to get a miracle, and you don't. So there's, God isn't, it doesn't work when you talk to God. Well, it does. God, every time you talk to God, He helps you to think about this. He helps you to make a decision. And if you trust in what He is programmed in your life to do, to follow Him and to make, He doesn't tell you, you do this today, but what I found out was He allows my heart to say, it's okay to do this.
Yeah.
And it's okay to love another man as far as I'm concerned. But I want one man and only one man, not 19. If I don't find love, I'm going to be okay.
Yeah.
I'm settled, like, got my little hum in Florida. Who knows how long I'll have that too.
Yeah.
But right now it's hum.
Till 3 more days in Montana. And then you're like, I'm going to move in, Brad.
Until September 28th to the first snowstorm.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
I can move. It's beautiful. Being a horse nut, people told me over the years, you loved your horses more than you loved your family. And it wasn't true, but I looked at my horses like they were my family too. You have animals and you understand a little bit about that.
Yeah.
And, for Christmas, 30-something years, Christmas morning was spent in the barn.
Yeah.
And I thought I was doing God's job, taking care of His creatures that can't take care of themselves. And we had great barns. We've kept them so pristine, and we took such good care of the animals. There was no vacation because there was nobody to take care of the animals.
Right.
And every time I decided I would go away, David and I, something tragic would happen. A horse would get hurt, I'd get loose, or break a leg. So we never did.
Yeah.
And I admired him because he put up with it for the longest time. But then he got to the point he hated every single.
Right. He just got that resentment towards it.
So when it's your life, that's a job.
Right.
People say to me, when are you going to quit your job? I have a job. This is my life.
Right.
Sure.
Yeah. He'll always be on the horses.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, at a different capacity now. I'd love to own a horse and ride again. At the level that I'm at in my equine career, I can't afford it.
Yeah. Right. That's it. Everybody's like, buy a horse. I'm like, you don't understand. When you're riding $200,000 show horses, it's like, you don't want to get on, a little backyard broken pony.
Yeah.
It's just not as fun.
Like I said, I started with the breed, the Appaloosa, and I had a 5-year-old mare bought for me for my 8th grade graduation. She literally annihilated me. She broke more bones than you could. She was really unbroke, and I was unknowledgeable. And I think one of the things that I got out of all of that was being an instructor was teaching people, just don't get on a horse. Go to a professional. Learn how to ride a horse. Learn how not to get hurt. There was one time we were hungry for money, so I advertised, and we haven't even talked about me being a florist, but in the floral magazines, riding, because so many of my friends would say, oh, we went to the Caribbean for our honeymoon and we got on these horses and it was really nice until they turned around and then they ran and I fell off and I broke my arm. My brother Joey broke his pelvic bone. And then people say, oh my God, the horses were so skinny and the tack was bad. And, so I advertised riding lessons for a couple, and it was a 4-week thing. And the husband and wife came and they learned how to get on a horse, how to get off, how to stop a horse. It wasn't about learning how to ride, basically, but we had to learn on how to bring some money and focus into the business.
Yeah.
And we ended up having like 10 couples that ended up doing it. And at the end of it, they all wanted to come back and ride. So the ladies wanted to ride fancy and the guys did. We would have a ladies' night and a men's night.
Yeah.
Ladies would ride fancy and they would have sandwiches and wine and shit. And then the guys would drink beer and I'd put a Playboy magazine in a mailbox and they'd have to back the horse up through this thing and get the magazine. And but it was a way to create business and keep business going.
Yeah. To support the dreams and desires. And, like you said, another thing you got into is you're a talented florist.
Yeah.
World
I
designer.
was 14. I liked it. And I was a little kid in school and I would pick berries and Christmas green, pin them on or glue them on a pin and bring them to school and sell them for a quarter or a dime or something for the teachers to wear.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then at one point in my life, they thought I was too hyperactive. So my family doctor told my mother, you need to just figure something out that's going to calm him down. Just something he has to sit and methodically think of. So he said, can you knit? She said, no, but I know how to crochet. So she taught me how to crochet. Well, after like crocheting for like 2 days, I picked it up really good. And then I got obsessed with making Afghans for people. But anyways, the flower shop business, I really enjoyed it, but there was no money in it.
Yeah.
It was looked at as the lonely housewife, go in and, run a few dollars. It's really not like that. It was a very competitive, industry at one point when I get into it. And again, instantly tagged as homosexual.
Yeah.
Because I was a florist. And a lot of them are, but there's a lot of very, very Christian straight families. I worked for the second largest flower shop in the United States back in the mid and late 80s. That was Todd's in Charlotte, North Carolina. And the owners were extremely Christian. So, we prayed every day and we started out our job. It was the second largest shop in the United States. IBM had just moved to Charlotte and I was the head designer. So those are credentials that, doesn't really mean a lot to anybody, but it did to me.
Yeah.
States. And it all added to all the little things that I've done.
Yeah.
How many parties have you gone to at the house that I've had to feed rich people and I could gourmet cook for them and set a beautiful table and flower arrangements?
Yeah. My dad's famous quote was, I don't care if you're only worth 2 pennies, make sure you look like you're worth $1 million at all times.
Yeah.
So it's everything you do, the way you carry yourself, the way you talk, whatever you have, take care of it, make it look the best that it can be. And, that was something that I always appreciated.
We played in a very rich man's sport and nobody knew we weren't.
Yeah. So you're in
one of the things, the best things that came out of you and David separating also was you taking charge of your health.
Yeah.
And, you said you're dealing with, my father's always had crazy GI issues and, arthritis and all this stuff. And he lived off of, like 3 pots of coffee, a couple joints, and a box of Ho-Hos and a pint of ice cream every night. And that was your diet for.
That was, my day started out as it was called wake and bake.
Yeah. Yeah. So he didn't take care of himself, always worked a physical job, but, wasn't a gym person. And when him and his partner David split, he asked me, he's like, I think I want to try to go to the gym and I want to start taking care of myself. I need to start getting healthy. And so I think my dad's been one of my best clients. I sent him a program and sent him a diet, and boom, he just knocked it out. And he's been crushing the gym, and my dad's actually got some pretty damn good arms on him and abs right now at 66. So, but like I said, more importantly, it's not how you look. It's, trying to live as long as possible. So
Healthy. Mentally, the gym is good physically and mentally. You have to be able to focus, and people forget about focus, because we get so busy in our day. When you're working on that machine, you can't be thinking about diddling groceries.
Yeah.
And I think that's a good thing for me because it allows me to just, for a short time every day, be me and focus on nothing but what I have to have.
Yeah.
I'm a very compassionate person. Sometimes I'm hot-headed and I have anger issues, and I'm the first person to say, be careful because I have anger issues. So be careful what you say.
We can also hold our tongue at times too. They say that in the Bible.
Yeah, well, I try. There was Christian, some of those, but they say, it's better to beg for forgiveness.
Yeah, and that's what it should. Yeah.
So I guess it could be working with God too.
Yeah.
But and I'm allowed to be a little bit more spiritual. Just thinking about going and being a better person every day.
Yeah.
And never going to bed angry. And I've been dating a little bit, and it's making me feel better about myself. Especially I've been working at the gym.
Yeah.
We talked about vanity earlier today. Everybody has vanity. So I'm not vain at all. There's no vanity in me. When you get up every morning and you brush your teeth and your hair, and you stand 5 minutes to figure out what you're going to put off the clothes. That's fair.
Yeah.
And everybody likes to feel that they can be their best.
Yeah. Well, like I said, just as a son who's super health and fitness oriented, to see you make those steps, it's been awesome to watch.
Well, and I love the fact that it's another way for us to bond.
Yeah.
I've I could throw 100-pound bales of hay over my head and never miss the hay wash.
Yeah.
But that's not the same thing as going to the gym and being structured.
Right. Intentional what you're doing.
Yeah. And the first few weeks were like torture. I was like, why am I doing this? I look at the mirror like 10 o'clock at night in the private gym life, crying in the mirror. Why are you doing it?
Yeah. Plus, I think it was a good season for you too. You were dealing with kind of that heartache and
Got me out of the house.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And got me thinking about things, because I'd getting pretty sick there. David wasn't kind. Well, you're losing all this weight.
Yeah.
So the gym got me back into knowing that you can still be thin and look good.
Right. Be strong. Yeah.
And be strong. When the coach at the gym referenced me to looking and acting like Jack LaLanne, you got to be almost 90 to know who he is. Yeah, press. But it was kind of like a little compliment. He was the first physical fitness wrestler that ever came on television.
Yeah.
And tried. I said, you'll never see me in that one-piece jumpsuit or a white shepherd on my side, but thank you so much.
We'll see. Yeah, I mean, so, we navigating into this season previously, and we talk about forgiveness, and I think my dad has just been a pinnacle of what it's like to bury the past and try to focus on the now, with taking care of Papa when he was sick after everything he went through. And then my Uncle Donald, who's your younger brother. They're Irish twins, 9 months apart. And my dad was supposed to fly out here like 6 weeks ago. And 2 days before you were supposed to come, Uncle Donald went into the ICU. And my uncle moved down close to my dad a couple years ago, retiring, for about 2 hours away from each other. And they'd never really had a relationship, since they were teenagers, and tried to rekindle something, and it all blew up. And there was, at one point my dad said he wanted nothing to do with him ever again, didn't care. And when my uncle got sick, first thing I did with dad was step up. You're at the ICU almost every day with him. And
he texted me and said, we need to put our problems aside. I'm sick and I'm probably going to die. I need you. I was there as many days as I could. Right through the whole thing. We thought we were going to lose him. We had to put him in a medical coma. His lungs had collapsed. And he was in that for over a week and a half.
Yeah.
The hospital had told his wife on that Sunday morning, that there wasn't any hope. His lungs weren't capable of making enough oxygen to sustain life. So either he was going to have to be put on a trachea until he passed away, or just take him off the machine. And she called and told me that in the morning. I was like, that's not happening. So I got onto Facebook. I've got a lot of friends who have friends, and a lot of my friends are Christians and belong to some good-sized churches. So when I spoke of what I needed, all of these people stood up, especially the local town that we're in. And they told their friends, or told their friends, or told their friends. My brother's high in the church, and their friends. So a big, huge prayer chain. And I actually went across the world because I have friends in Australia, Jamaica, everywhere that were praying for him. That following Tuesday morning, I get a call from my sister-in-law, Ann, and she said that his oxygen levels were spiking. And that evening, they extubated him. And I saw him. I was up there right after he was done, and he had no idea what had happened to him. He couldn't walk. He couldn't hold his cell phone. I'd been ready to decide, praying for him. And so he's actually went home on Saturday. And still has a long way to go. This is one of those things where love and bond has got to come over any disagreement. We were raised like twins from first grade on. That's when we graduated high school. He chose to go in the Army, and he never moved back home. So we went many, many years where we didn't see each other. He was Army intelligence, where we didn't know where he was for years at a time. And so, kindling a relationship was hard. It was like two people that really didn't know each other. We only knew of each other what our parents told us. What my mother said this from Donald with me. So, interpreted maybe different. So now we have a second chance on life.
Yeah. And that was, just even more challenging time too, because my aunt, was the oldest. She had passed away 3 weeks before he went into the ICU. And so my grandmother had just,
Even though
yeah, it was 3 weeks, a little over 2 weeks. And, so for my grandmother to potentially lose 2 children in that short period of time, I don't think she would have made it.
No, because she'd already buried 2 children prior. She's had 5 children, and this would have been the 4th one for her to lose, and she wouldn't have made it.
No.
Just couldn't have.
No. So that was, and Uncle Donald, I love you. But that was like my biggest prayer was, we can't lose him because it's going to destroy you. It's going to destroy, like, Nana's going to go, and then what the fuck's going to happen to you? And the whole family is just going to just absolutely disintegrate. So, the power of prayer. And, my Uncle Donald even says, like, I was not supposed to live. They told my wife I was dead, and God stepped in and resurrected him.
He does second chance on life.
Right. And does the things that, he says he can do for us.
So when you want to talk about a good, faithful follower, my brother has been the greatest sheep ever.
Yeah.
He has followed his Lord through thick and through thin, through bad times, through good times, and has never one time lost his faith, ever, ever, ever.
Yeah.
He's always been a kind and gentle man.
So, whew, that was a lot.
Yeah.
That was a lot.
Good.
And
I'm happy.
again, I'm so grateful
I
for,
hope this helps other people, because I wish down the road that there had been people for us, that would have stepped up to the plate and said, hey, wait a minute, man, we can help you. But there was nobody that wanted to.
yeah. But it's and also just giving hope. Like I said, I know too many men that are either their parents, their fathers aren't talking to them, or their kids aren't talking to them, and just to, whether it be how me and you have rekindled our relationship, or how you stepped up for Papa in those last days, and and we dealt with that with our own family. As we go back to my aunt passing away, and she had a child that refused to even say goodbye to her. He had to physically drive my grandmother up to hospice, walk her in, and refuse to even go in and say goodbye to his own fleshly mother. And that pain and that unforgiveness is going to destroy him. And so,
Because we all tried.
whatever it is you're dealing with, whatever hatred you have towards someone, just let it go. Just let it go. Just let it go.
Because it will kill you.
It's only going to kill you. It's only going to kill you. It's only going to tear you apart. So just let that go. And so this is the ultimate lesson on forgiveness and on second chances and on fatherhood. And I'm just thankful that we have this opportunity, that we're young enough and healthy enough, and pray that we have decades more of memories to make. And I pray that the Lord blesses me so I can be a father.
Yes. Me too. And I want to make sure that you guide your life to be the better father than I ever was.
Listen,
And I'm going to be a great grand happy. It comes. Because that will happen.
the ultimate father has me, and I know he has a plan for me. And even if it doesn't, it's he's got a bigger purpose for me. But I feel like he has used me to break that generational trauma, that generational bondage of men that don't love, men that aren't present, men that are angry and violent.
I am. When I turned 40, I felt really good. I started the job at Remains. It was kind of a big year. We just bought the new house. I just got the new job at Remains, and I just became a blacksmith. So I had all of these new things. I said to David, I feel like I want a baby. He said, what? I said, I want a Dr. Chow. He said, I don't want to be a dad. I said, I really feel that I need to. I think it was because I tried to make amends for what I didn't give you.
Right.
And then I felt guilty, like, oh my God, what if I do that? What does Bradley Banter feel?
Yeah. I mean, how did you feel when your dad came home?
Exactly. So I said, I can't do this. But I had that nurturing feeling that it wasn't that I didn't ever want to be a dad. It was at 23, coming out of the closet gay. God, I didn't know how to be a dad.
You didn't know how to be yourself.
No.
You know who the fuck you were. And that's for everybody out there. I mean, our parents do the best they can with the capacity that they have, and some people just don't have much capacity because they were never taught how to
Cope. Some parents can't cope with it.
Yeah.
So they drowned it out like it's never going to be there.
Yeah. Well, just like I said, there's such a big God-sized hole in their heart, and all they know is pain and suffering, that they don't know how to show up how they can.
This brings us back to animal instinct. Animals, when something scares them, their ability is, and their instinct is to run. And I think what happens to, like with me, I told you this before, that everything got so overwhelming. How am I going to do all of this? This is going to destroy every single person's life. And it came close to. And I ran. And I ran because I didn't know what else to do.
Yeah. There's a lot you're running from.
I called your mother once and said, pack up Bradley. She goes, why? I said, I'm coming to get you. We're going to go, blah, blah, blah. She goes, no, we're not going to do that ever again. It's okay. It's okay to be who you are.
Yeah.
And she said, you're running from yourself. We can't run anymore.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it's a lot of people's lives.
Yeah. And unfortunately, our story isn't the only one like this.
No, and
There's so many of them out there that are like this.
and worse, and
Yeah.
so
But anyways, our story's out. And if our story can help save one person or make someone think about or just call a parent or
just reaching out.
or a friend or a loved one, sometimes our friends are more important to us than family.
Yeah.
I have those bonds. I have 2 women that I call my sisters, because they've never not been there.
Well, I thank you, and I'm
All right, thank you.
we're gonna go to the gym, and actually, we're gonna spend my birthday together, which will be probably the last birthday year out of mine. Okay, so you did yeah. Last one I remember was probably like 8. So, yeah.
Well, I wasn't allowed at a lot of them.
Yeah.
In the earlier days. But I've been a homosexual kid.
Yeah. We had Christmas together this year and birthday, and fuck it, it's probably been since I was born that we had both of those together.
Yeah. Really? Yeah. You were a year old.
Yeah.
You're old.
Yeah. So.
I remember even making your birthday cake.
Yeah.
For your first birthday. Yeah. And it had to have to do with horses. You had a carousel cake.
Yeah. I want to see photos of that.
And your favorite toy was Kirby, who was a stuffed horse. And Marilyn Shade budget that handmade rocking horse.
Yeah.
For your birthday.
No rocking horses for my birthday this year. We're gonna go to a rodeo.
Yeah.
Hey, should we get movie together now?
So, hey, that could be my new profession. Yeah. How long it takes to buck a fat old man off.
I don't want to put pieces back together. Neither of us need to be getting on anything that's bucking. Too old and too broken at this point. So, I love you, Dad. And
I love you
thank
too.
you for on here, and thank you for being vulnerable. And
Just let you know, you've been from day one my world.
I know.
And if you ask anybody who knows me, they know so much about you because I don't ever stop talking.
Listen, you were always my greatest cheerleader.
Yeah.
And I always heard you boasting about me.
Yeah.
I just wanted the present.
Yeah.
But we have it now.
We are now.
All right. I love you, Dad. Hope that made an impact in you guys' lives, and I appreciate you listening to our story. Can't wait to see what's coming next. This story ends today, but yours is still waiting to be told. You're not alone in this walk in life. If this hits you, share it with someone that needs it. And don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. Find me at Brad B. Rowe at Instagram. And if you're ready to step into the front row of your life, whether it be the fellowship, the foundry, coaching, or support the ministry, you can find it all at frontrow.co. I'll see you next week.